Hi there, I'm Cheyenne Dominguez, and this is a bonus episode, and it's part of my bonus series called Wellbeing at Work and Home. This bonus series is especially designed to help women take better care of themselves and prioritize their self-care once and for all. So let's go. All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Cheyenne Dominguez, and I'm here with the lovely special guest today, Miss Lynn Pelzer. Welcome, Lynn. It's great to have you straight from Toronto, Canada.
Thanks, Cheyenne. I'm happy to be on. It's really fun. Thanks for asking me.
Oh, awesome. Awesome. So I'll have you introduce yourself a little bit later. I want to jump right in because I know you're kind of like, I don't know, I read an article about morning routines. And I also noticed in this article, it said something like when you ask someone to describe their perfect morning routine, they will often describe someone else's morning routine. And your morning routine kind of sounds like the perfect morning routine for me. I think because it involves a fireplace during the winter. So I'm just in my mind, I'm like, oh, wow, that seems like the perfect morning routine. So I have the perfect person to talk about the art of the morning routine. So it's great to have you on. Maybe you want to just share your current routine to start us off.
Yeah, well, of course, I'm going to say morning routines, they change depending on your phase of life or your work, or if, you're kind of been in on and off lockdown for a year. So
Right.
it
Minor
is
detail.
different. And when we talked about this routine, I was like, I think I am looking for ways to be more gentle with myself because of this last year.
Mm,
So it has changed a little bit. When I was thinking about it, I'm like, has changed a little bit. You know what? I wake up at the same time every day, 7 days a week, and which is 6:15. And
hmm.
so I love that time. On the weekends, I really try to not jump out of bed and try and like, oh, I'll just lay here and think I'm going to get a little more rest, but I don't really because I'm just so locked in. And I like it because
Yeah.
I like being up while it's still quiet in the house.
Mm-hmm.
That's important, because I have kids. I mean, they're getting older now. But after I wake up, I stay in my bed for a few minutes, 5 minutes or so, and I do like prayer and meditation before I get
Hmm.
up. And then I have my coffee ready. It goes off exactly at the right time. So I have coffee. I switch on the fireplace in the winter. I pet the
Hmm.
dog, which is something that, I feel like I'm doing more of during this phase of life right now because it's like relaxing and calming or something. Like I have this little routine of like giving the dog some little cuddles.
Right.
Um, so I try to be up and awake for a little bit before I turn my laptop on.
Yeah.
Um, but I think I could do better. I'm going to say this because I know there's a lot of research saying that you really shouldn't be looking at a screen too quickly. Um,
Yeah.
I
Because I noticed you, I think you seem to be online pretty early. And
Yeah.
I definitely delay that part of my day. I'm like, okay, let me delay a while looking at a screen.
Yeah, like I'm probably only up for maybe 20 minutes before I'm onto the screen. So it's something I've been thinking about. And there used to be a real strong reason for me to do that was that I had a checklist of things to get done before the kids were up and I was helping them get ready for school. But of course now
Hmm.
they can kind of do it on their own. So, 20 minutes I don't click it on the minute I get up, but I'm 20 and I'm like, I should have an hour really. But anyway, so I
Right.
do that. But I have a checklist of kind of things to go through. Very
Okay.
specifically, I don't scroll or fuss around about, cat videos or something. I just have the
Okay.
checklist of like, I have 3 email addresses. I got to go boom, 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 see what's there, what I need to
Hmm.
respond to. I have a little bit of social media stuff. It's like I check, I have a very specific list for it because I don't want to spend too much
You
time.
don't want to get sucked into the vortex. So,
Nah,
so
there.
at least your screen time, even though it is early, it sounds like it's pretty intentional.
It's very intentional and it's limited. So then I'm
Yeah.
done within an hour. I can get all of that stuff done, probably 45 minutes usually. Um, and if it was a weekend, I would probably kind of do most of the same stuff, except I wouldn't be doing emails and stuff. So I might just put on some
Right.
fluff or something or just chat. But as soon as I'm done all of that, like by around 7:30 ish, probably, I go and shower, bathe, whatever I need to do that way, and do my hair and makeup every single day
Mm-hmm.
without fail. It's such a routine for me. And not, some days I don't do much to it, but some days, it's a bit more, a bit less, but it makes me feel good. I feel
Mm-hmm.
ready to present
Ready for the
myself.
day.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
and here's why, is because I've had a few moments in my life where when I started working from home, which is now many years, 8 years, I think I've been working from home. Um, People might knock at your door randomly,
Right. Right.
and
It's happened to
I'm
all of us, right?
mortified. I don't want to be in
You just
my like
never
house
know.
or something like,
I know.
you're got the Alice Cooper mascara down your face or something that you didn't get all off last night. Like, I don't want to be that way. So I just feel ready for the day. And by the time
Mm.
I'm ready, the kids are heading off. In the good weather, I do my walk right away. I know you and I about the walking. It's
Yes, we're all about the walking. So
uh,
in good weather, you do it right away. Now, what about the kids? So before they're heading out to school, like, do they each have, you have two girls, do they each have their own specific routines? Are you involved in their routines? Do you, or do they just kind of, you know, somehow fall in line every morning and get out the door?
yeah, well, my kids are polar opposites about routines. My youngest
Hmm.
one has such a strong routine going on, and she's very much like me in a lot of ways that way. And so she has an exact time she gets up. She has a checklist of things that she does for preparing. She makes her own lunch. She's in grade 8. She
Hmm.
does her own lunch and her own breakfast. And I'm kind of here close by, but she pretty much does it on her own. And she has a very specific sort of checklist in her head, and even a physical checklist, which she started at the beginning of the school year to figure out that she would be ready on time. So she does. She does, and she's up and at 'em, and she gets her bag, packed up the night before. And my 16-year-old is exactly
Hmm.
the opposite. She'll
The
like
opposite.
hit
Same in my
snooze.
house. Yeah.
Yeah, and
I mean, mine are boys, but similar ages. One's younger and one's a teenager, and the teenager kind of rolls out of bed basically like 5 minutes before needing to do something or be somewhere.
thing about girls is that they want to look, they got the hair and all this stuff to do. So
Right.
she has to get up earlier. But she is much more always running to the last second and kind of maybe
Uh-huh.
can't find something. And, you know, there's this stress and tension going on in the morning
Right.
while she's getting ready. Now, she feels like it doesn't bother her.
Okay.
So it's interesting when you look at the two, like have a really good routine and the other one that doesn't.
Hmm.
The one who has a good routine seems to be calmly and easily out the door. And the one
Okay.
without the routine is the one who I get the text that she forgot something.
Right. Hmm.
And
Yeah.
I can't find whatever, or where are those pants?
You guys all make your beds in the morning because so I read this, I love House Beautiful magazine because I'm sort of an amateur decorator. And I love the magazine. And so they did this article really about like, starting the day with making your bed and productivity and how that can sort of be a great launching pad for having everything from healthier habits to better organization to eating healthier during the day, even like setting and achieving your personal goals for the day. But starting with making your bed. And I've actually seen lots of different, studies on this, but basically it gives you the idea and the feeling that you've got this kind of little mini sense of accomplishment and organization, and it sort of sets you off on your day. Now, I didn't do this until I was an adult. So I did not make my bed as a kid. So how about you? Like, are you making your bed every morning? What about the kids? And do you feel like that's even important?
Well, I'm the same as you, that I didn't grow up in a household. Well, I don't know if you didn't grow up in a household with it, but we weren't forced to make our bed, so it didn't always get
Yeah.
made. And even when I was moved out on my own, I didn't always make the bed. But somewhere early 20s, I decided I wanted to do it, and I felt somehow a benefit to it.
Yeah.
Um,
Me too.
yeah, we
Me
make the bed. There's not been a day in my life since I was probably 20 something that it hasn't been made.
that you
And my
haven't.
husband, give him a check. He sometimes makes the bed.
Yeah, mine too.
If I
Mine
get up
too.
first,
If I'm a little lackadaisical about it, maybe I didn't do it as quickly as I usually do.
yeah,
Sometimes I'll go back in and I'll see that he did it. I'm like,
yeah,
oh,
it's
that's nice.
important to him too, right? And
Yeah.
again, so I have my younger one has like 15 decorative pillows on her bed, and they all every day gets all set up, and she has a little throw at the end and gets played. Like, I don't know how she does it all, honestly. It's very unusual. Um,
Hmm.
but she has actually told me about the bed being made, that when she comes home from school and sees it like that, it makes her really happy.
Yeah.
And then the other one, clearly, where you know what I'm going to
Clearly.
say, she does not. She does when she does her cleans her room. She makes it, and she's always like, "Oh, it looks so nice." But she doesn't. And she gave me an interesting comment recently about the bed making. And she said, I think when I move out and I have a roommate, I bet they're not going to be happy with how I keep my stuff. And I just said
Probably
nothing and
a
thought,
true statement.
mm,
Just not, but you might be right.
we'll let those natural consequences happen on their own. I don't feel that it's worth the fight with her about it. Like,
Yeah.
it's too much
Yeah.
stress. She seems to be okay with it, but I actually can see that when things are more orderly, she does feel better about it. Now, she's a high achiever in other areas, so it's kind of like
Hmm.
it's kind of funny that works out that way, because she's a very high achiever academically. She has to do so well, but then this stuff
Hmm.
that's her personal space, she just could care less.
Right.
Um, but I actually think having your bed made every day, I don't know, some people might be offended by this, but there's this quote: how you do one thing is how you do everything. And
Yeah.
I think that I live by that. And I know that how I do one thing can fall into how I'm going to do other things. It's not just, maybe how I am, but it says something about me that I like to keep
Yeah.
it orderly, and that take the time to be organized to do it. But yeah, it's a mental
Yeah, I
thing.
love that quote too.
It's a
I love
mental
that quote too. I feel like it applies to a lot in life. A lot in life.
Yeah, it really
For
does. We were talking about this, my daughter and I, about keeping your car clean, even.
sure.
I
Right.
said,
Yeah.
when you get into someone's car and you can barely find a place to put your feet because there's like stuff on the floor,
Stuff, so much stuff.
it would make you wonder, like, is everything else falling apart in
Mhm.
life too? So, I don't
Right.
like that about the
Is
bed.
everything else scattered? Yeah.
Mm.
And I love when I walk back into my room and the bed's made and looks so nice and tidy and I don't know, brings me like a little spark of joy, I think. So
Well, we like looking at magazines, right?
happy.
And
Absolutely.
Pinterest,
Yeah.
beautiful things. There's a
Yeah.
reason.
Beautiful pictures.
Yeah, and why
It's
would
like a beautiful visual.
when you go to a hotel, they don't say, would you like the room with the bed made or not made? Like, what do you
They
like
all get made.
better?
That's a good point. Like I like the one with the bed made.
Yeah.
So, one interesting thing with regard to kids, anyone who's listening, is when when I was growing up, I always did my homework pretty much like after I got home from school. And so when my kids were younger, I kind of did the same thing with them with regard to routines. Like they would do homework before they would go out and play or play with a friend. And I can remember one year thinking, gosh, it was starting to get darker earlier.
Hmm.
Our school system was on a bit of a later schedule where, our particular school got out later than most. And then by the time they got home, it's like starting to get dark soon. And I felt bad that they couldn't, that I was making them do homework. And then if they did it later in the evening, it seemed to be, oh, just kind of lackluster at best. I could tell they were tired. So one of my friends said, well, I let my son do his homework early in the morning before school because he's an early riser. And I thought, I never in a million years thought of adding homework to a morning routine, but for a kid who is an early riser and uh, really fresh in the morning, that worked beautifully. So I am like always looking for little tidbits of how I can, make my morning routine better. And I would have never come up with that in a million years if I hadn't talked to another mom. And it worked beautifully for like the next 3 years. Homework in the morning. How crazy does that sound?
I didn't know there were kids that were early risers. I'm kidding. My one is a little bit more of an early riser, but you know what? That is a genius comment because
Isn't that a genius little hack? I was like, oh my gosh, why didn't I think of this? And I think it's because you just kind of sometimes I think we get set in our routines. And so I think that's partly why I've become like a little bit not obsessed, but just like super interested in people's morning routines because I'm like, oh, maybe there'll be some little nugget that will bring me a little bit more joy.
well, the fireplace is
The
my it for
fireplace.
you. Um,
Sometimes you read about like celebrity morning routines, and it's like, well, I'd have that morning routine too if I had a chef and I had a personal trainer coming to the house every day and I had all these things. But I like just, I think mornings that are intentional and like simplify my day. That's always what I'm looking for. I don't know about you, things that kind of put me into a nice, easy state where I don't feel frazzled and already set off balance as the day's beginning because I feel like when I am set off balance, that affects the rest of the day. I don't know about
sure
you.
does. And I've told you this and I forgot to mention this because it's slightly later in the morning for me. Um, but once I get the kids off and I go for a walk, I clean
Hmm.
my house. So that's I don't book work
Oh,
ever at this one specific hour. So whether I have 30 minutes or an
uh-huh.
hour's worth of house cleaning, whatever laundry stuff, I am on top of my house at the beginning of the day because it might not happen later. And I thrive
Right.
in having things pretty organized and tidy. But I talk on the phone. I have a girlfriend, and we have organized our life around having this personal phone call so that the cleaning doesn't seem like a chore because I don't love it. And so,
I love
and again, it's that little
I
checklist,
love that.
like empty the dishwasher, like all the kind of basic things you would get every
All the
day.
little
It's done. It's done by
it's done.
9:30,
Just
and then I book
the
anything
daily
else from
chores.
10 on, usually for
See,
type
that's
stuff.
that is brilliant. I mean, I knew that you were doing this on a phone, like a clean and talk with with a friend. I didn't realize it was also like part of
Mhm.
your morning-ish routine. And I definitely feel like when I get those morning chores done early and out of the way, I feel like it clears my
Mhm.
mind to be able to focus on really bigger, more important things. And interestingly, a lot of studies say in the morning, you should really focus on like your biggest, most important project. Whereas I've always felt the opposite. I feel like I need to get all the little minor things out of my way so that my brain is clear and like ready to completely focus. I don't like having little things hanging over me, to
Mhm.
dos, like little. I'm like, let's get all the little to dos out of the way. And then it's like, I've got this whole checklist completed. Now I can focus on a bigger project or a bigger whatever it is I'm working
Well,
on.
I'm gonna even throw out there that I think that sort of morning routine of small things is the big thing because those other projects now
Mhm.
become so much easier when you don't have it hanging over your head that you have to still get another piece of something done or then you didn't get it done. Like I think that it just takes up so much headspace to think I'm running behind
Right.
and falling behind on things. It's you know what it doesn't seem like it's for everyone. My personality feels like it should be for everyone to have these kind of routines, but it is interesting that there's a lot of people that feel like, nah, I can't live like that. I like,
Right.
I like a little
Right.
bit more sort of chaotic, I work well that way. I don't know. I don't
Hmm.
know. Wouldn't work for
Yeah.
me.
Guess it comes down to really what works for you, right? At this point in your time, or this point in time in life for you and your family. And I think it's just, the art of the morning routine really is about the art of being intentional in a lot of ways, like just setting your day up to work for how you and your family work.
I agree. And if something doesn't seem like it's working, it's a good time to do a little research, like, how you've been doing. And I bet that there's
Hmm.
lots of tips for people to give something else to give a try. If they feel like the day is running
Absolutely.
away with before they even get going on it, I think that's a great thing to do. Hmm.
Me too. Well, tell everyone, Lynn, where they can find you if they want to follow you on social or what you're doing in your career.
Well, I think I would say you can follow me on Facebook. I really spend the majority, like social media time is probably on Facebook. It's just Lynn Pelzer. Um,
Okay. And I'll drop a link in the show notes
yes,
so everyone can
that would
follow
be
you there at
great.
Facebook.
And as you know, I am the collective director with Fem City. So we're just still growing communities around North America for women's, business, networking, and personal uh, groups. And
Wonderful.
so, just continuing on that. And yeah, nothing else really on the horizon
Wonderful.
for me yet.
All right. So Lynn Pelzer, everyone with Fem City, you can find her on Facebook. I'll drop a link to connect with her in the show notes. Make sure you send her a little note to let her know that you're not a complete stranger, so she knows where you heard of her from, so she doesn't think you're a crazy stalker. Just let her know you heard her on the podcast and connect with her there. Well, Lynn, it's great having you on the show and talking about the art of the morning routine. I love your morning routine. Sounds like the perfect routine. Petting the dog, sitting by the fireplace, having your coffee ready. I think I'm going to do some of that tomorrow.
Send me a picture.
Okay. Well, thanks, everyone.
Thanks,
Bye for
Cheyenne. Bye.
now.
If you've enjoyed Down with the Dominguezes, it would mean so much to us if you'd leave a review and share it with a friend. Thanks, everyone.